Good morning, students. Up to now, we come to know that uh, the first part of the voyage went pleasantly. We have also come to know that on the second day out of Cape Town, they started facing strong gales. What happened on December 25, and what was the condition in the morning of January 2nd? Thereafter, what happened at 6 p.m. on 2nd January? We were learning that the indication of the coming disaster came at 6 p.m. with ominous silence. The wind stopped blowing, sky suddenly grew dark, and the narrator thought that uh, the back part of the ship was covered by a huge cloud, but dark cloud, but it was actually a huge wave, twice in size of any other wave, and the wave appeared, stood there perfectly vertical. Thereafter, the roar increased to a thunder as the stern moved up the face of the wave. The roar increased to a thunder. जो roaring थी, it turned into thundering as the back part moved up the face of the wave. When the back part of the ship moved towards the face of the wave, this roaring was converted into a thunder, and for a moment I thought we might ride over it. But then a tremendous explosion shook the deck. A torrent of green and white water broke over the ship. My head smashed into the wheel, and I was aware of flying overboard and sinking below the waves. I accepted my approaching death, and as I was losing consciousness, I felt quite peaceful. In this particular paragraph, the description of or the condition of narrator, that is Gordon Cook, has been given when the wave hit the boat. When the wave hit the boat, it was a tremendous explosion. A torrent of green and white water broke over the ship. Obviously एक बहुत तेज लहर आई जो वाइट और ग्रीन वाटर के साथ थी. वाइट तो फॉर्मिंग थी, उसमें झाग जैसे बनता है, बहुत स्पीड से आता है, तो ग्रीन कलर ऑफ सी वाटर. My head smashed when the wave hit the boat. Narrator's head smashed means hit into the wheel, and he was aware that he was flying overboard means over the boat and sinking below the waves. It is clear that when the wave hit the boat, narrator's head smashed to the wheel as he was steering the wheel ना, वो संभाल रखा था डायरेक्शन देने के लिए शिप को. His head smashed the wheel as he got an explosion. He was shocked, and I was aware of flying overboard. He was aware that his head smashed into the wheel, and the wave took him over the ship, and he started sinking below the waves. When he started sinking in the waves, he accepted his approaching death, and as I was losing consciousness, I felt quite peaceful. And as he was losing consciousness, when he went in the waves, he thought he would sink. So it was obvious that he started losing his consciousness, and when he started losing his consciousness, his body felt quite relaxed, peaceful. But unexpectedly, my head popped out of water. Popped out means came out suddenly. A few meters away, wave walker was near capsizing. Capsizing means overturning. पलटने को थी, बिल्कुल टेढ़ी हो गई. Her mast almost horizontal. Mast means main pole, Then a wave hurled her upright. My lifeline jerked taut. Taut means tight. Suddenly, almost the wave walker was near capsizing, means overturning, and her mast almost horizontal. Uh, then a wave hurled up her upright. तो दूसरी तरफ से भी एक वेव आई जिसने शिप को सीधा कर दिया. My lifeline jerked taut. As the narrator had attached lifeline, so his lifeline stretched him. जब वो शिप ओवरटर्न करने लगी तो नरेटर दूर चला गया, पानी में ही था, वेव्स में. लेकिन जब वो शिप वापस सीधी हुई, वो बोट वापस सीधी हुई, तो उस टाइम में उसकी लाइफ लाइन्स खिंच गई and he was somehow able to grab the guardrails, the railings of the ship, and sailing through the air into the deck like a into wave walker's main boom. He somehow able to grab means took hold of, पकड़ लेना, the guardrails and sail through the air into wave walker's main boom. Somehow he was able to enter wave walker's main boom. Subsequently, waves tossed him around the deck like a rag doll. Rag doll means a doll of cloth. कपड़े की जो doll होती है. As a result, when he was somehow able to sail through the air into wave walker's main boom. Subsequently means as a result, thereafter waves tossed him around like a around the deck like a doll of rag. My left ribs cracked as a result. When he was tossed like a, waves ने उसको ऐसे हिला दिया जैसे कि कोई rag doll हो. My left ribs cracked. मेरी जो लेफ्ट रिब्स थे वो क्रैक कर गए. My mouth filled with blood and broken teeth, and his mouth was full of broken teeth and blood. Somehow I found the wheel. Somehow he was able to reach the steering wheel, lined up the stern. जब वो when he went to the direction of the stern means back part of the ship for the next wave and hung on. Somehow he was able to enter into the ship. Water everywhere. I could feel that the ship had water below, but I dared not abandon the wheel. Abandon means leave, Leave. I could feel that the ship was fully, means the ship was full of water, but he could not dare to leave the wheel to investigate how much water was inside the ship. Students, before describing the chapter, I think I should tell certain things related to it which you might not be able to understand. You can see a straight pole at the top in your left hand side, and this pole which comes down, this pole is called mast. In the right hand side you can see a curtain type something which is called mainsail, and there below the mainsail the the thing is called boom. Thereafter you can notice in the left hand side its bow. The description, the names and the description of the things are given. Stern is the back part, rudder, cabin and cockpit. These are certain parts of the ship which I have just shown you. I suppose some things are clear to you related to the chapter. Thereafter, when when the narrator was able to reach the ship once again, at the time he could notice that the ship was full of water, but he could not dare to leave the wheel to investigate. He thought that it was necessary to stay at the wheel and control the things at that time. Suddenly, the front hatch was thrown open. Hatch means door, and Mary appeared. The front door was opened and Mary appeared where narrator was steering the wheel. "We are sinking," she screamed. "The decks are smashed. We are full of water." When she came out, she informed the narrator that they were sinking as the decks were smashed and the ship was full of water. "Take the wheel," I shouted as I scrambled for the hatch. Scrambled means struggled to reach for the door. He asked Mary to take the wheel, to take hold on the wheel, and he shouted when he tried to go for the door. Larry and Herb were pumping like madmen. When he left the steering wheel, he noticed that Larry and Herb were pumping like madmen. Broken timbers. While Mary was controlling the steering wheel, the narrator went outside and he noticed the two crewmen were already pumping water out of the ship like madmen. They were very desperately, not madmen ऐसे नहीं है कि वो पागल हो गए थे, but very effortly they were trying to pump the water out. Broken timbers hung at crazy angles, the whole starboard side bulged inwards. Clothes, crockery, charts, tins, and toys sloshed about in deep water. Was visible in deep water, जिसे हम कहते हैं छलकना. Broken timbers. Now, after looking at Larry and Herb, they were doing their duty of pumping the water out. He could imagine that the wave that had hit the ship had damaged many things. Broken parts of wood hung at crazy angle. कुछ टूटा, कहीं अटका हुआ था, कहीं कुछ पड़ा हुआ था. The whole starboard side bulged inward. The whole right side of the ship was bulged inward by just because of the wave that hit. Clothes, crockery, charts, tins, and toys could be visible in the deep water. All these things which were destroyed could be seen in the deep water. I half swam, half crawled into the children's cabin. "Are you all right?" I asked. "Yes," they answered from an upper bunk. "But my head hurts a bit," said Shue, pointing to a big bump above her eyes. I had no time to worry about bumped head. He half swimmingly and half crawled he reached children's cabin and asked whether they were all right. They were on the upper bunk. Upper bunk matlab sleeping place. It is shown in the picture. They are on the upper bunk of the ship, of the cabin, when the narrator came to them to ask about their well-being. After finding a hammer, screws, and canvas, I struggled back on deck. Now it was time, although Shu told him that she had received a hit on her head, but he had no time to worry about the swollen head. After finding a hammer, screws, and canvas, now he tried to repair the damaged part of the ship, taking a hammer, screws, and canvas. Canvas is thick cloth. Canvas, CANVASS, means um, political reasons say whenever we go to someone's house, that is called canvassing for votes na, CANVASS, but CANVAS is थिक क्लोथ, जिसे हम त्रिपाल कहते हैं, मोटा सा कपड़ा होता है जिस ऑलमोस्ट वी कैन से वाटर प्रूफ. I struggled back on deck with the starboard side bashed open. We were taking water with each wave that broke over us. If I couldn't make some repairs, we would surely sink. He took hammers, screws, and canvas. He tried to work on the deck with the starboard, with the right side of the ship, which was quite open, much open. He struggled, and as the starboard side, as the right side of the ship was damaged, so they were taking water with each wave through the broken part of the ship. And he states it here, if I couldn't make some repairs, we would surely sink. If he had not made some repair work, they would they would surely sink. Thereafter, this is second condition. Somehow I managed to stretch canvas and secure waterproof hatch covers across the gaping holes. Somehow, as he was trying to repair the damaged part of the ship, somehow he managed to stretch the thick cloth, that is canvas, and secure waterproof hatch covers across the gaping holes. Somehow he he managed to fill the gapping, which took or due to which more and more water was entering into the ship. With that thick cover, the thick cloth, he was able to secure waterproof hatch covers across the gaping holes. Some water still continued to come in, but most of it was now being deflected, means it was turned over the ship. More problems arose when our hand pumps started to choked up with the debris floating around the cabins, and electric pump short circuited. More problems arose. Here one question can be asked, what problem more problems arose, what were the problems faced by the voyagers? What was the problem, or what were the problems faced by the narrator while repairing? While narrator tried to repair the damaged part of the ship, more problems arose as the hand pumps with which they were pumping the water out choked because of the floating debris. Debris is broken part, जैसे हम मलबा कहते हैं, broken part of something floating around the cabins. And second thing that happened was the electric pump short circuited, and as a result, as they were not able to pump the water out, they were getting more and more water with each wave, and the water level rose threateningly. Back on deck, I found that our two spare hand pumps had been wrenched, means broken, destroyed overboard, along with the four stray sail. the jib, the dinghies, and the main anchor. All these things had been destroyed just because of the wave that had hit the ship. Then I remembered we had another electric pump under the chart room floor. I connected it to an out pipe and was thankful to find that it worked. It was a relief that the narrator remembered that they had a spare electric pump which was under the chart room floor. He connected the out pipe and he was thankful to God that the electric pump worked. The night dragged on with an endless, bitterly cold routine of pumping, steering, and working the radio. The whole night dragged on. It passed on with an endless, bitterly cold routine of pumping, steering, and working the radio. The whole night was spent with the cold routine of pumping the water out. The whole night they could not sleep. They worked on pumping the water out, steering the wheel, and they tried to work on the radio. Why? Because they were trying to get some emergency help. They were trying to connect for Mayday calls. We were getting no replies to our Mayday calls, which was not surprising in this remote corner of the world. They were not getting any replies to their Mayday calls. Mayday calls means calls made for help. These are international distress signals for emergency, which was not surprising. They were not able to get what are Mayday calls. Mayday calls are the calls made for help. And why were they not able to get any reply of their calls? Because they were in the remote corner of the world, and it was quite usual that they would not have any range there. Suzanne's shoes had swollen alarmingly means dangerously. She had two enormous black eyes, and now she showed us a deep cut on her arm. When the narrator asked why she hadn't showed her injury before, her injury on her hand. She bravely replied, I didn't want to worry you when you were trying to save us all. At that time, Suzanne's head, which had received a bump, had swollen dangerously. Now she had her eyes swollen, and she at that time showed a deep cut on her arm. And when her father asked why didn't she show it before, she told that she didn't want to worry her father when he was trying to save them all, when he was busy in saving them all. Thank you, beta.